An armor of my very own? Okay, people, welcome back to another Fwoosh overview. Today, we're going to take a look at the Sentinel fighting armor Deadpool. Now, I thought this was going to be... Hey, here's the microphone. I thought this was going to be my first hands-on experience with this line. I had skipped Wolverine and Captain America and Iron Man and Spider-Man. I guess that's what's come before this. But a couple of months back, I did pick up the exclusive fighting armor Iron Man, because it's black and gold. I didn't have a version like this in my collection, so I thought, why not? And while it's okay, I still couldn't pass up the chance to get Deadpool because it's Deadpool. Looking at the package, it just has a promotional image on front, and for some reason, I love this picture. It just looks like he's smiling, even though it's an armor plate and it has this curve down here. I get it. I know why I think it's smiling, but it just looks happy. On the side, another promotional shot kind of faded out into the background. Deadpool. On the back, more pretty promo pics, warnings, ages 15 and up. They don't want you stuffing it in your mouth. On the other side, there's another promo image, same fade out into the background. Deadpool. On the top, Deadpool. On the bottom, Deadpool. There is a flap to give you a look inside, another promo image, Deadpool, and then a look at the figure, which is essentially wrapped in plastic. So it's not really a look at the figure, it's kind of a glance. You see the weapons like the shuriken, the guns, the extra hands. There should be some swords in there somewhere. Maybe it's another tray. But we'll only find out if we open this thing. Oh, no, little tape. Why is that so tough? Or maybe my blade is dull. There we go. Oh, yep, another tray with a stand and the swords. Has a claw on it. But it's just a peg with no head, no screw, no nothing, so it just comes right off if you get too rowdy with it. Oh, and I forgot about this from the Iron Man I messed with. You pop these clear pieces out of the stand. You slide this piece off and put that there. Slide the lock back on. Well, I forgot about that too. You can't go past the peg. If you want to go to the other side of the stand, you have to take this clip back off, put it over there. I don't know. It just seems over-engineered. Didn't even see the booklet. There's the instructions for the stand. Beware of scratching. Oh, one more shuriken. Ooh, and this has turned me around. I think with the black and gold Iron Man, I was a tad down on the fighting armor line. But now that I have this in hand, I kind of love it. Is it because it's shiny red and black? Maybe. Is it because it's Deadpool? Probably. But I think more than all that, this time around I have more experience with it. I know what to look out for. I know what to manipulate. I know how to work around things. It's not my first time fumbling through. Basically, I've enjoyed myself a lot more here. Don't get me wrong, I have my gripes, but overall... But speaking of that gold and black Iron Man, and I'm assuming the gold and red, there is a lot of reuse here. I guess you could chalk it up to Tony, if he's armoring up the rest of the characters, that he would follow a certain design scheme, and at least that's what I'm going to use in my head. But same arms, same legs, same feet, same lower torso, different upper torso. Also different crotch piece. It's same on the ass, just painted different, but on the front, they added that iconic Deadpool belt buckle, these bars on the outside with some different design work around the bottom. And then, of course, the head. Iron Man has his face, Deadpool also has the black around the eyes, what we usually see when we see Deadpool. And just like the Iron Man, there's different shades to the shininess, or well, I guess different sheens. The whole thing is in this beautiful candy red, but you look closer and there's certain parts that change to a more matte red. And I like how that breaks it up. And it's the same with the black. Sometimes there's very high gloss black, and then There's dull black too, just to kind of kick between certain parts. And that's also broken up with some silver here and there. Here on the outside of the thigh, outside of the shin, on the front, which is very Deadpool-y, and also the studs up here. And also places that are harder to see, like this seam line running right in the chest piece. Also silver in the eyes, and again, in later pictures, it's more noticeable, but there is just a little paint slop in that eye right there. In person, without macro lens and close-ups and everything, you get way back here, it's not even noticeable. There's also these silver parts with the blue dot in the middle, and that is very eye-catching. It's a nice little detail. Here and here. Back of the lower legs, back of the upper legs. I'm digging around, I'm gonna miss one, I know. On the inside of the knee too. Essentially, well, I was about to try to pop off something semi-intelligent, but I don't know what those are for. They're just nifty design elements. Oh, I almost did forget. Bottom of the feet, which those are probably propulsion of some kind. It may be just certain parts that are different from Iron Man, because Iron Man does have those top vents or whatever they are on the back. So again, same aesthetic, just tweaked. But there's always going to be nitpicks, and right off the bat, one thing that really annoys me, I don't know if you can see it or not. Is it noticeable? These pins on the outside are a pain in the ass. It gets in the way of neutral stance. You got to constantly go around them and avoid them. And I'm afraid with this kind of metal, die cast, whatever it is, scraping on the shiny parts that are, well, I can't tell what is die cast and what's not. There's quite a bit of metal, but I'm afraid of scraping as I go by. Speaking of that though, I've already put it through the paces for pictures, and I haven't noticed a lot of scuffing or scraping. That's a good thing. I think I also had this problem with the Iron Man, is that it's not really a fist. It's more of a, here's my knuckle. It just looks odd in the overall scheme. And I don't know if I could call it a gripe, but certain points of articulation gets in the way of others, and that's just physics. They tried to pack as much as they could inside of here, and one object can't occupy the space of another, you know? Oh, and this, I nearly forgot. This is a floating piece in the middle of the torso between either two dumbbell joints or one big ass dumbbell joint, because here it moves around, slides around. Every now and then you'll get to a loose spot. It's not too annoying. It just reaches out and grabs you when it's cocked to the side or something. Going over articulation, there are certain points that I actually don't know what's going on. It's kind of magical, but it looks like there is a big old hinge at the top of the neck going down to a ball in the top of the neck piece itself, and then a ball underneath that neck piece. So altogether, ooh, so good. It's flying armor, so that makes sense. And look down. Swivel mostly at the bottom, some at the top, and it stops about right there. Well, no, the top twists too. Or am I breaking something? You can keep going. Dumbbell at the shoulder with a cover in there. It shifts up, shifts down, shifts forward, shifts back. Hinge on the outside of that comes up to there. Rotates all the way around. Swivel at the bicep. Double elbow comes, ooh, most of the way up. Swivel hinge ball joint on the end of the wrist. So you can swivel on the ball, get some movement out there on the ball, but then the hinge gives you extra movement. And with that, you can rotate it around, go up and down, side to side, wherever you want to go. Like I said, I don't know exactly what is going on in there. Is that a paper clip? What is that? I think it's a dumbbell up here and then a dumbbell down here and then something in the waist. Either way, you're going to get whoop, that with some that, with a little of this, and topped off with some more of that. And of course there's rotation. Hip is pegged in, comes up to here, but there's also a drop down that moves away from the hip. You can get all the way back too. Out. Oh, that's better than some Spider-Mans. Rotation on that joint at the drop down, push it back up, looks good. Double knee comes, oh man, oh, so close, but damn impressive. The knee is also sculpted to not gap up until you get too far, and then you get to the end. Swivel at the top of the ankle, turns side to side. Hinge below that goes back, forward until that armor plate runs into the top, but that armor plate is also hinged to get out of the way. That gives you a little bit more. Forward facing pin gives you some rocker, but you can also turn the hinge itself super tilt. And then the toe joint gives you that. For accessories, there are several sets of hands. There's the odd looking fists. And I told you I'd miss some of these. Inside the palms of each hand, there's another blue light thing. There's also some splayed out hands, some trigger finger hands, and then grip hands specifically for the swords. I haven't had a lot of problems swapping out hands, except for the sword gripping hand. For whatever reason, those are super tight to get on. But when you go to pull it off, watch out for the whole joint coming out. Not a huge deal. I've popped it out and then just put it back in. But once that happens, probably going to happen again. Comes with 4 throwing stars or shuriken, whatever you want to call them. I like how they're kind of techno-angled, you know? It fits the aesthetic of the overall figure. And you can put these in the trigger finger hands. It kind of pinches between, just bare, well, not this one apparently. Kind of loop it on the trigger finger, I guess. But these are meant specifically to go on these hip pegs. And when it comes to that, I mind the hip pegs less because then they have a use. But at the same time, now you're avoiding the throwing stars. If that was just plastic, those would have probably already been snipped off. But since they are die cast, I'll live with it. Comes with 2 swords. Again, follows that kind of techno look. And I like the silver edge going all the way up the blade. It adds some contrast to what could have been just a plain sword, you know? It is a tight grip to get into the hand. It pushes to here. That's okay, that works. If you don't want them holding them, there is this scabbard piece on the back that I thought came off, but I think that's glued. Slide this one here and this one here, but don't push too far. It gets to a point where it'll hold tight, but you push much further than that and it starts to kind of dig into the blade. Also with these in here, be careful posing. You don't want to be manhandling it and then push here or here. I'm afraid these will snap. They're not the most flexible blades. And then we get to the guns, and this picture does not do these things justice. So shiny, so candy red. They're just lickable. That's how good these are. Little Deadpool logo on the... Oops. I would have liked to have seen those on the swords now that I'm pointing those out. Be careful of that. I'm guessing it's a sight of some kind. It looks like an antenna, but it is tiny, and I don't think it would bend. I think it would just break off if you put some force on it. Like putting it in the grip. Like the swords, it's a tight fit. Ooh, yeah. But if you're wanting to holster them, there's these separate pieces that clip onto the leg. Clamps into there and on the back. Problem is, you put it in, you have to avoid the shuriken, kind of get it down there, and then it's just a loose grip. If you put the leg up into a position, it just falls out. So maybe that's why they made these removable. 1, to get out of the way, and 2, they're kind of useless. Well, I say that. They're useful if you're in just a standing pose and want them holstered, but in action poses, they're not as good. Iron Pull stands at about 6 3/8 inches tall, which is exactly the same as the fighting armor Iron Man because, well, it's mostly the same body. It doesn't stand out too much against other Iron Mans. It's larger than the SH Figuarts MCU Iron Man, but about the same size. It's slightly shorter than the Amazing Yamaguchi Bleeding Edge. And then Marvel Legends is usually bulkier than a lot of the imports. Taller than some of the other Deadpools, but less bulky. Well, I don't know. With the Mafex, same body size, smaller head. And then proportions don't really match the Mezco 1/12 Collective or the Figma Marco Stunt Deadpool. But surprisingly not that different from the Marvel Legends movie Deadpool or even the comic book Deadpool. It feels like this could fit inside this. Get your minds out of the gutter. I mean, he could fit in this armor. Maybe not here and here, but it's close. Probably too large for your Hasbro Star Wars Black Series shelf, but I could see him terrorizing the Metacom Mafex Hush Batman display. So at the end of the day, superhero landing. Going all the way back to the first, I don't know why I like this so much better than the black and gold Iron Man. With the Iron Man, I felt it was kind of awkward and thin and didn't really fit my mind's eye of Iron Man. Not that an armored Deadpool is my mind's eye version of Deadpool, but I don't know, this is just so much more fun, or I guess I allowed myself to have more fun with this. I allowed my brain to let the wackiness take over and get into some crazy poses that I don't think of when I think of Tony. I only think of those when I think of Wade. So it was more freeing and fun because of the character itself, especially since it's the same figure except for hip rods and the swords on the back. I know it's crazy, it doesn't make sense, but there you go. The Candy Apple Red does a lot too, and the sheens and the shines. Oh, maybe if the gold was reflective, I would have liked it a lot more. But I think it comes down to being Deadpool. That's the bottom line. There is a steep price tag with these. It's about $100. And looking at it that way, well, I guess with the die cast, it kind of balances out. But just some swords, some guns, some hands, and an iffy holster system. Those damn hip bars. I'm going to keep bringing them up. Those hip bars is probably the biggest complaint I have. But if you're into Deadpool or Iron Man armors or the mix of the two, and just like messing with import figures, then go ahead and give this a shot. I've been cranking on this thing, and I haven't broken it, or scraped it, scratched it, whatever. Pretty durable, almost as if it had a healing factor. If you enjoyed this overview, comment, like, subscribe. Much love to the plus. If you're interested in seeing videos early or in a position to help out the channel, patreon.com. But wherever you may be watching this, I'll always catch you on the Fwoosh. Looking how the shadow drops on the face and everything, and it kind of fuzzes it up, I get a ultimate Deadpool feel from it. You know how the black covered the eyes and then went down the middle. Is that right? Am I thinking of the right design? That's me actually looking at it on the camera screen. I'm afraid when I get to editing and see it on an actual big screen or the output video, it won't look as weird, and then I'll just sound crazy. I'm okay with that.